Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be finally, like a month later, testing out the Jackie Aina palette from ABH, showing you a tutorial on this eye look, and talking about how I feel about the palette, what my first impressions are, and if I think it is worth your money or not. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, turn on post notifications if you have not yet, and let's just get right into this and show you how I got this look. Guys, so let's get started. I usually start with one eye done, but because I want this to be like a first impression, I don't want to do one already, you know what I'm saying? I want to kind of experience it all together with you. I know my eyebrows are really prominent right now, but that's because I just wanted to get them over and done with to save some time, and I carved them out a little bit, so they're very intense right now. But once I put the eyeshadow on, the foundation, like once everything's together, they're not going to look like so in your face. So here's the palette. You've all seen it before, I'm sure. Do just want to say the packaging is literally beautiful and I love it. I'm so happy it's not velvet like most of their recent palettes. You can tell this one's gonna be way easier to keep clean. So I pretty much already have an idea of what I want to do. I want to do something mauve-y, like neutral but mauve-y. Use some of these shimmers. I'm going to try to use as many colors as I possibly can. To start out this look, I'm going to prime my eyes, and I'm going to use the ABH eye primer. I'm so I like this product, but it annoys me that to this day, I've been using it for like a month now. It still just like squirts out as soon as I open it. It squirts out and it's messy as crap because of that. And I just don't understand how much more I need to use for it to stop doing that. I just think it's like poor packaging some way. So I'm gonna take some of that eye primer and then just apply that over my lid with this Peaches PC40 brush. And I'm gonna kind of do the P. Louise method of applying the product, and that I'm just gonna keep patting it until it's blended in. And this is what I use to cut, or not cut, but define around my eyebrows as well. Once that's blended in, I'm actually gonna use something newish also, or at least new to me. I tried these the other day and I'm already in love. And it's the e.l.f. Line and Define Eye Tape. I think this was either $2 or $3 at Ulta. And you get 4 sheets of 10, so you get 40 of these. But the thing is, they're so long that I just cut it in half. And it's long enough that if you just cut it in half, you can use half for each eye. And so you can get 40 uses out of these tapes to give yourself like a nice winged shape. And it was only like $2 or $3, which is crazy to me. So I like this. And it's kind of like a surgical tape kind of feeling. So it's really easy on the eye skin. So I'm just gonna apply this. I'm gonna try to kind of relax my eyes while I put this on, so that way when I take it off, it'll be the right shape. Because if you like lift up your eye like I usually would, when you take it off, it's gonna change the shape of the eyeshadow. So I'm gonna first start with a big brush. This one is from BH Cosmetics. It doesn't have a number, but it's like the really fat blender brush. And I'm gonna start off with the shade Edges, which is a warm brown. Comparing Edges to Ginger, Edges is just more of like a peachy, pinky undertoned brown, whereas Ginger has more of like an orangey yellowness to it. Off the bat, I can already see like that super powdery kind of vibe. If you can see that ABH shadows have, you just get a lot of kickback in the palette. That's actually one of the things I really don't like about ABH shadows, and it's something that for me tends to turn me off and not want to buy their eyeshadows. I watch a lot of people on YouTube, and I feel like a lot of people don't care about kickback in the pan, and I don't care about it if it's just like a little bit. But in general, with ABH eyeshadows, it's just so bad with certain shadows that like, the reason I hate it is it's just so wasteful. And I have a couple ABH palettes, and there's some colors that I have in some of those palettes that I've maybe used them a handful of times and they're already getting a hole in it. And so to me, it's kind of like, I know some people don't care, but it's such a waste. And if you end up getting like half or a third of the use out of the shadow as you would with a similar color from a different palette, because it just like kicks up everywhere, like it's a waste of money, you know? So I don't love that about their shadows. So yeah, I'm taking edges, and as you can see, I'm kind of setting my brush down in my outer corner first, and then I am blending it up into the crease and all the way across. And every time I go back in with this shade, I'm putting it in the outer corner first and then blending it across. That's just gonna give us the most pigmentation right on the outer corner. Okay, so that shade blended out really, really well. And it looks really pretty, as you can see, because I kept putting my brush in the outer corner first. It built up a nice depth there in the outer corner, and then really nicely kind of transitioned over and blended out. So next I'm gonna go in with the shade Pinker, which is sort of like a nice mid-tone mauve-y kind of pink. I like that it's not like a bright pink, it's more subtle. And I'm gonna place that in the same spot in the outer corner and start to build up some depth, being very gentle about how I dip my brush in the palette to get like the least amount of kickback. But this shade isn't giving me as much kickback as Edges did. And I'm just using a MAC 217 for this. And again, starting it here and then blending it all the way over and getting that nice depth in the corner. Next, I'm gonna go in with my deepest shade, which I'm gonna use Credit, which is the deep brown. And I'm gonna use that on the same MAC 217 brush. And again, starting my outer corner, but now I'm keeping this much closer to like just right here in this outer part. And I'm only gonna blend it in slightly. And then I just took the tiniest bit of Edges one more time, just to make sure everything was super blended and softer on the edge. So now that I have all like the outer corner blending I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove my tape. Okay, and now we're gonna do the lid. So I really wanna use, I'm gonna use like 3 colors I think for my lid. So the first one I'm gonna do is Zam, but just from swatching this, you can tell this color has some glitter pieces in it and it's a little bit more chunky. So I don't want it to fall anywhere, and I just want like the maximum pigmentation. So I'm gonna take the Peaches and Cream glitter base. I'm getting a little of that on my finger, and I'm just going to dab this all over the lid. And then I'm gonna take a little flat brush from Morphe. This is the M421. And I'm gonna pick up that color and press it on top. That brush is not working. I think you just need to use a finger with this one. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then I'm gonna take a tiny blending brush, the Morphe M506, with a little bit of that Zam color, and just use the blending brush to pull that shade up into my crease. And this is something you guys know I've been doing lately, just bringing the shimmer above my my lid a little bit into the crease, just so that it kind of blows out and transitions a little better when I do that. Really quickly, I'm gonna go back in with our dark brown, the shade Credit, and just reapply that here, just so that it fades nicely into our lid color. I'm just dabbing that. And that color Zam, like just putting on my finger, does kind of get everywhere. It's very crumbly texture, still very nice and pigmented, just a very crumbly texture. So now I'm gonna take the shade Soleil, and then just because it's something I like to do, I've never used this color, I've swatched it, so I don't know how pigmented it is on its own, but I just like to wet my shimmers. Obviously, even if like I used the glitter base on the last one, but this time I'm just gonna actually wet that shimmer a little bit. Again, because that's what I would normally do. Like whether this is pigmented without that or not, it doesn't really matter to me because I know for the most part, whenever I do this kind of thing, I'm gonna wet it anyway. So I'm just using it how I normally would. And I'm just going to put that in the inner corner. I am going back in the palette, but I initially wet the brush to help the shimmer pop. And then I'm just layering a couple more layers on top. It's looking a little more yellow than I thought it would from swatching. And I'm just taking that about like halfway or so across the lid. And then using the excess on the brush again to sort of blend it above the crease a little bit into where I put the lash shade in the crease. And now finally, right on the inner corner, I'm gonna take the shade Trust Issues, which is really pretty. It's like one of those that looks white, but it's actually like a gold kind of shine. And I'm just gonna pop that right there. And the only thing I don't like about these kind of colors, it's not really a problem, it's just annoying to me, is that when you dip your brush in them, they get like dirty looking. So that'll sort of take on, if you had any other color on the brush, it'll take on that color and sort of make it look dirty in the pan, but it still works just fine. I'm also gonna take that Trust Issue shade and put some right underneath my brow. And I'm just kind of going right at the arch for the most part, and then just sort of blending out the excess. So for the lower lash line, I'm gonna basically do my usual style. If you guys have been following me long enough, I kind of do the same sort of style in terms of how I do my lower lash line. So basically I'm just gonna take the crease colors that I used on the top and put them on the bottom, starting with the darkest to the lightest and blending them down. But first I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that ABH eye base and blend that right below the lower lash line before I put the shadows on top. So I'm gonna start with Credit, and then I'm gonna do Pinker, and then I'm gonna finish it off blending down edges. I'm then gonna go back in with the shade Zam. And I'm actually gonna try it on the brush that comes with it, with the more flat side. I'm gonna pick some of that up, and then I'm going to wet it with my setting spray. Again, just so it'll stick better. And I'm basically gonna layer this on the inner half of the lower lash line. This shade is so pretty, but like as I apply it, I can feel the pieces falling on my face. I mean, it's no big deal. That's why I didn't do my foundation yet, but just in case you're wondering. Okay, now that the eyes are done, I'm going to throw on some lashes and then finish off the rest of the makeup before I come back so I can sort of give you my final thoughts. For my lashes, I'm using these ones right here. I will have the number down below. Another one from that set of lashes I got off AliExpress. So yeah, I'll leave the number of the actual lash down below. And then yeah, I'm just gonna finish up the rest of my makeup and I will be right back. Okay guys, so the makeup look is fully done now. Just to give you a really quick rundown, for my complexion, I have on my ABH foundation, e.l.f. concealer. I set my face with the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish and set my highlight areas with the Revolution Ghost Powder. For bronzer, I used my Bare Minerals Faux Tan Bronzer. For blush, I used my Charlotte Tilbury Sex on Fire blush. For my highlight, I have on Juvia's Place Heroin Loose Highlight. And then for my lip, I have on the Jaclyn Hill lipstick in the shade Control Freak. And to line my lips, I use the Morphe lip liner in the shade Crush. Okay, so on to my final thoughts on this palette. So first of all, quality-wise, it is really, really great. So of all the colors I used, they all worked extremely well. Zam, like I've mentioned a couple times, is definitely very like chunky. So you would definitely want to use that with a sticky base. Soleil was a bit underwhelming because I did wet it, but I still had to layer it up like 4 times. But it's still like a nice color. It just needed a little bit of layering. But all the mattes I used blended out so easily, as you saw. I love the undertones. I love this shade Pinker. I just like that it's like a deep mauvey pink. I don't feel like I see that very much, so it's really pretty. All the other shades I have swatched in store, and obviously I haven't used them yet, but they all seemed like they swatched really well and they were really creamy. Other than Shookington seemed really sheer even when I like kind of built it up. So I'll be interested to see how that one works out, like if it ends up, you know, I don't know, maybe I need it with a base or something, I don't know, but I am excited to use the rest of the colors. I really like the packaging. You know, personally, I didn't buy this initially. Okay, there's a couple reasons, okay. First, I don't need it. That was like number 1. But then I kept looking at it and I was like, this is unique, you know, like Pinker is a unique color. Trust Issues is a pretty unique color. Edges is actually unique to me because it's a very like peachy, slightly pinky, warm brown. And you know, something like Ginger is a really generic type of brown, but something about Edges, it's very unique and makes a really interesting kind of mix finally when you get it all together. Zam is another thing to me that seems pretty unique. It's really pretty. So after I kind of like thought about it for a little while, I could tell this wasn't going to be like an impulse buy. You know, I like looked at it, I swatched it several times going into Sephora before I even thought of getting it. So I do like the color palette. I think it's really pretty. This is something that is so universal. I like her thought process of making colors that work well on dark skin tones. And all that jazz. I think it, but still obviously works well on light skin tones too. So it's a very like universal kind of palette. I did also hold out a little bit. I'm not going to go into it like in depth because it's unnecessary, but I did hold out a little bit because I don't really like her. And it was just one of those things where I was like, she's not my favorite for various reasons. And so initially that was another reason why I didn't get it, but I kind of got over that and I was like, okay, let me like let all that aside. Is the palette nice? Is it, you know, unique enough and all that jazz? So I decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna give it a try. And I'm glad I did because the quality of this palette is really great. In terms of, like I was saying during the tutorial with the kind of kickback, Edges was the worst of all the ones I tried, but the other ones actually weren't that bad with kickback. It was like maybe a little bit, but it wasn't bad at all. And I mean, if thinking about, like I have a bunch of ABH palettes, thinking to the other ones I have, like Modern Renaissance is so bad. I never got it, but I've seen like how bad Subculture was and all that stuff. This actually seems like an improvement in terms of that kickback and the fallout of the shadows. Again, I love the packaging. It's a really nice palette. I think they could do without these stupid brushes and all of them. But yeah, I think it's really nice. I definitely think it's worth the money. I think it's very high quality. And yeah, I do really like it. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked the look. I love how it turned out. And please subscribe if you have not yet, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.